In the dim glow of a roadside diner, where the scent of greasy burgers mingled with the rumble of passing trucks, a small boy sat alone at a corner booth. His name was Alex, and at just 10 years old, he carried the weight of a world that had crumbled around him. His clothes were threadbare, his shoes worn thin from endless walking, and his eyes, those wide, haunted eyes, held stories no child should know. It was there, on a rainy evening in a forgotten town, that fate wove an unlikely thread, pulling together a heartbroken orphan and a group of rough-looking bikers whose hearts were as vast as the open road. Alex hadn't always been alone. He remembered a time when life was filled with laughter, when his mother's warm hugs chased away the shadows, and his father's strong hands taught him to ride a bicycle without training wheels. They lived in a modest house on the outskirts of the city, where the backyard bloomed with wildflowers in spring. But tragedy struck like a sudden storm. One fateful night, a drunk driver veered into their lane, stealing his parents in an instant. The crash echoed in his nightmares, the screech of tires, the shattering glass, the silence that followed. At the hospital, doctors whispered words like orphan and foster care, but Alex felt only emptiness. Relatives were distant or unwilling, and soon he was shuttled between homes, each one colder than the last. By the time he turned 9, Alex had run away from his third foster placement. The system meant well, but it couldn't mend the hole in his heart. He survived on scraps, sleeping in abandoned lots or under bridges, always moving to avoid the authorities. Trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. People promised help but delivered disappointment. That rainy evening, hunger drove him into the diner. He had a few coins scavenged from the streets, enough for a cup of soup, maybe. As he sipped it slowly, savoring every drop, the door swung open with a jingle, and in walked the bikers. They were a sight to behold. Leather jackets adorned with patches, beards like wild bushes, and motorcycles gleaming outside like loyal steeds. The group of 5 called themselves the Road Warriors, a band of veterans who rode across the country, raising funds for charities in memory of fallen comrades. Led by Big Mike, a towering man with a scar across his cheek from a long-ago war. They laughed loudly and ordered plates piled high with food. Alex watched them from afar, shrinking into his seat, fearing they'd notice him and chase him out. But then, something unexpected happened. One of the bikers, a gentle giant named Tommy with tattoos of eagles and roses, caught Alex's eye and smiled. "Hey kid, you look like you could use a burger," Tommy said, sliding into the booth opposite him without invitation. Alex froze, his spoon midway to his mouth. No one had spoken to him kindly in months. I don't have money," he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. Tommy waved it off. "On us. What's your name?" Hesitant at first, Alex opened up a crack. He told them his name, but when they asked about his family, the dam broke. Tears welled up as he shared his story, the accident, the loss, the endless running. His small frame shook with sobs, and the words tumbled out like a river long dammed. "I miss them so much," he cried. "Every night I dream they're coming back, but they never do. I'm all alone, and no one cares." The bikers listened in silence, their tough exteriors cracking. Big Mike's eyes glistened. He'd lost his own son in a similar crash years ago. Tommy placed a hand on Alex's shoulder, steadying him. "You're not alone tonight, kid," he said softly. As the rain pounded harder outside, the bikers shared their own tales around the table. Tommy spoke of his time in the army, how he'd seen friends die and wondered if life was worth it. "But we keep riding," he said, "because helping others heals us too." Alex, wiping his tears, felt a spark of connection. These men, who looked so intimidating, understood pain. They didn't pity him, they empathized. But then came the first twist. As Alex finished his story, he revealed a secret he'd buried deep. In his tattered backpack, he carried a small, crumpled photo of his parents and a broken toy motorcycle his father had given him. "Dad said one day we'd ride together," Alex whispered. "But now, it's just junk." The bikers exchanged glances, and Big Mike nodded subtly. Little did Alex know, this confession would change everything. The group invited Alex to sit with them longer, ordering him dessert, a slice of apple pie that tasted like heaven. As they talked, Alex learned about their charity rides. They weren't just wanderers. They were heroes in disguise, collecting donations for orphans and veterans. Tommy pulled out his phone and showed pictures of kids they'd helped, smiles on faces that once knew only sorrow. Alex's heart ached with envy, but also hope. "Do you think someone could help me?" he asked timidly. The bikers assured him they would try, but inside, they were already plotting something bigger. The next morning, the rain had cleared, leaving the air crisp and full of promise. Alex woke up in a motel room the bikers had rented for him, the first real bed in weeks. He thought it was a dream until Big Mike knocked on the door. "Come on, kid, we've got a surprise." Confused but curious, Alex followed them outside. There, parked among their Harleys, was a shiny new bicycle, painted red like his father's old one, with a basket and a bell. But that wasn't all. Strapped to the back was a small, child-sized leather jacket, embroidered with Junior Road Warrior. Alex's eyes widened in disbelief. "For me?" he gasped. But the real twist unfolded, as they explained. During the night, while Alex slept, the bikers had contacted a local social worker they knew from past rides, a woman named Sarah who specialized in orphan placements. She'd pulled strings, and with Alex's story verified through quick checks, they had arranged for him to stay with Tommy's sister, a kind widow with a farm nearby who had always wanted a child. "It's not foster care," Tommy said, kneeling to Alex's level. "It's family, if you want it." Alex's tears flowed again, but these were different, mixed with joy. He hugged Tommy fiercely, whispering, "Thank you." Yet the deepest shock came when Big Mike revealed his own scar's story. The drunk driver who killed his son was the same one who had taken Alex's parents. It was a coincidence that defied belief, uncovered through a quick search of old news clippings on Tommy's phone. "Fate brought us together," Big Mike said, his voice breaking, "to heal each other." In that moment, the climax hit like a wave. Alex, who had forgotten how to smile, looked up at the bikers, his unlikely saviors, and a genuine, radiant grin spread across his face for the first time since the accident. It was a smile that lit up the parking lot, erasing the shadows of his past. The bikers cheered, their rough voices cracking with emotion, and they revved their engines in celebration. Alex climbed onto his new bike, ringing the bell triumphantly, as Sarah arrived to take him to his new home. "You'll ride with us one day," Tommy promised, "when you're ready." As the bikers rode off into the horizon, Alex waved until they were specks in the distance. In his new life on the farm, he grew strong, surrounded by love. He shared his story with others, inspiring acts of kindness in the community. The bikers continued their rides, but now with a new patch on their jackets, a smiling boy's face, a reminder of Alex. This tale reminds us that kindness blooms in the unlikeliest places, like wildflowers after a storm. Selflessness isn't about grand gestures. It's about listening, sharing burdens, and offering a hand when the world turns dark. Help comes not from perfection, but from flawed hearts willing to connect. Truth lies in vulnerability, sharing our tears to find our smiles. And humanity? It's the thread that binds us all, turning strangers into family. In a world full of pain, one act of compassion can spark a lifetime of joy. So, reach out, for you never know whose life you might change or who might change yours.